Renegade soldiers in Mali say they have overthrown the civilian government. The mutineers have suspended the constitution and dissolved all state institutions. Renegade soldiers are said to be angry with the government's handling of a Tuareg rebellion in the country's north. President Ahmed Toumani Touré is believed to be under the protection of loyalist troops in a military barracks. We have more on the fast-moving development here in this report.
The CNRDR, under the authority of the Armed Forces of Mali, have decided to assume responsibility and to end the incompetent regime of Amadou Toumani Touré. The announcement of the mutiny was broadcast by rebel troops on Malian state television at around 4 a.m. on Thursday morning. They said a national curfew was in effect and that the constitution had been suspended. We ask the people of Mali to remain calm. We firmly condemn any act of vandalism or theft. The mutiny broke out on Wednesday evening at the military garrison in Kati, located 15 kilometers from Bamako. The rebels advanced swiftly on the capital. In the confusion, traffic on the main roads was snarled. Even vehicles on the bridge leading to the city center were forced to turn back. Gunfire could be heard throughout the night. The rebels' claim that they had taken the presidential palace has been denied by witnesses. However, the rest of the capital appears to be under rebel control. Sporadic gunfire was heard, perhaps of the rebels celebrating their victory. Residents in Bamako barricaded themselves in their homes after having stocked up on provisions. Others fled the city. They stole my car. This pains me. We're afraid. We're afraid of being attacked by vandals who will take advantage of this situation. Forces loyal to President Touré said that he had been taken to a security base in Bamako, where he is directing military operations against the rebels.
The suspect behind France's recent deadly shooting incident has been shot dead by police in Toulouse. Mohamed Merah was shot dead by a police sniper after a 30-hour siege. Police say Mega was planning to escape during a ferocious firefight with police when he was gunned down by a police sniper. The French of Algerian descent, according to detectives, had previous encounters with the law. We have more on one of France's deadliest serial killers in this report.
Dead of night and police move into an area of Toulouse. The dark silence pierced by gunshots echoing across an empty street. A dramatic climax to the biggest manhunt in France for decades. In the cold light of a wet morning, police reinforcements arrive and surround suspected terrorist Mohamed Merah. Toulouse feels like a city consumed with terror, the wail of sirens echoing and everyone asking whether Merah was alone or if there are more terrorists here. Some of the victims were Jewish, a rabbi, his 2 sons and a 7-year-old girl sent to Israel for burial. And soldiers were apparently targeted because of France's 4,000-strong military presence in Afghanistan. Merah perhaps unaware he'd shot fellow Muslims. This is the tough neighborhood of Toulouse that Merah came from. Off camera, this gang of young men who knew Merah attacked us as we tried to talk to them. It was pretty scary. Within minutes of us arriving, we were rushed. Someone grabbed my phone. We were roughed up. Someone made a grab for our camera. And we were very lucky to get away without being seriously injured. French officials say Merah visited the Afghan-Pakistan border area twice. The first time he was detained and handed over to French troops and was then repatriated. The French Interior Minister says he belonged to an obscure Salafist group called Forzan Eliza, known for its opposition to the ban on full veils in France. A YouTube video purports to show Forzan members staging simulated firefights with paint guns and practicing hand-to-hand combat. CNN cannot independently verify the authenticity of this video. The French authorities tell CNN Merah had been under surveillance by French intelligence, and his lawyer confirms Merah had even been jailed just last month for motoring offences the latest in a series of convictions for more minor crimes.
The neighborhood of Izard is characterized by delinquency due to drugs. He never had a history of this, but he had a history of theft.
But it's left analysts wondering whether French intelligence has failed catastrophically to intervene.
It seems to me at this stage that there has been a failure in the sense of this guy not being given enough priority in terms of the threat he actually posed to France itself.
A lone wolf terrorist gunman is the nightmare scenario for intelligence agencies, but everyone in France is wondering if there are others like Mohamed Merah waiting to strike. Dan Rivers, CNN, Toulouse.
A unanimous call for peace at the United Nations has been met with the thunder of artillery in Syria. Activists say security forces are raiding shells on the city of Hama, destroying homes and injuring several civilians. Reports speak of a massive column of Syrian armored tanks crossing in on the city ahead of an impending assault. Let's look at this report for more on that.
In a rare show of unity, the UN Security Council, including Russia and China, backed a statement calling on Syrian President Bashar al-Assad to work towards supporting the efforts of the UN and Arab League representative in ending the hostilities.
Together they have given Kofi Annan a clear mandate to obtain as soon as possible the end of all violence and human rights violations and humanitarian access to the population hit by the repression. It is also essential that the Security Council ask Kofi Annan to facilitate a political transition.
Russia, which had blocked 2 resolutions on Syria, backed the Western drafted statement. And although it's not binding, Russia and China's support is a strong signal to Bashar al-Assad's regime.
It is important that we are able to agree on the statement today. It's important that there are no ultimatums nor threats and no statements as to who is more to blame.
As far as the United States is concerned, the full backing of the Security Council is a direct message to the Syrian president.
To President Assad and his regime, we say, along with the rest of the international community, take this path, commit to it, or face increasing pressure and isolation.
Meanwhile, violence continues in Syria and the number of dead continues to rise. More than 8,000 people are believed to have been killed since the start of the revolt.
Soon after the dissolution of the Executive Committee of the Gambia Football Association, a delegation that comprised the Minister of Youth and Sports, the Permanent Secretary, as well as the Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Interim Nationalization Committee set up by the Ministry in the wake of that development, traveled to Zurich, Switzerland at the invitation of football's world governing body FIFA for talks with President Joseph Sepp Blatter, the FIFA Secretary General, and 2 other members of the FIFA Emergency Committee. A media release from the Ministry of Youth and Sports reveals that FIFA President Joseph Sepp Blatter told the Gambian delegation that he has endorsed the formation of the Interim Nationalization Committee. The release also states that the Gambian delegation was told that FIFA has the prerogative to nominate members of the Interim Committee in scenario like that of the Gambia, in line with the FIFA status, and has as a result nominated the following individuals to serve on the committee: Osman B. Konate, Omar C., Salifo Jete, Cherno Marina, Remy Joyner, Suleiman Jouf, and Cherno Toure. FIFA, the sports ministry dispatch adds, has also given the said interim normalization committee 6 months to do a better job at organizing all-inclusive and transparent General Assembly to elect new officials to mandate football in the Gambia. We'll bring you more on that as soon as possible. And before we take leave of you, a recap once again of our headline-making stories. Efforts to mechanize agricultural production in the country have moved by several notches with the signing of a contract agreement in that regard between the government of the Gambia and a company based in South Africa. Gambian men and women under arms serving in the Sudanese region of Darfur have received an accolade from Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the Joint Special Representative of the United Nations and African Union in Darfur. Renegade Malian soldiers have toppled the administration of Ahmadou Toumani Touré and dissolved all vital state institutions, citing the government's alleged mishandling of the Tuareg rebellion. And the suspect behind France's recent deadly shootings has met his violent death following a 30-hour siege of his Toulouse residence by French commandos. You can follow those stories under the Grts programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio Live. That brings us to the end of the news for